What's up, beautiful people? Roland here from the Chicago Synth Exchange, and I'm beyond excited to represent one of my favorite pieces of kit made in my lifetime, the Oberheim OB-X8. So you can see Tom Oberheim got the rights back to Oberheim, and this is the first synth under that name that has been released in the past 35 years. And what he decided to do is put the three most influential synths that he's made, the OB-X, the OB-X8, and the OB-8 all in one synth, and this really isn't a reissue. I hate the word reissue for synths like this. It's really a reintroduction because it continues the legacy of what those synths left behind, but we included MIDI, velocity and aftertouch, and USB. So it fits in a modern studio perfectly fine, and this is a dream synth right here. So yeah, I've made a whole bunch of patches on this, and I would love for you guys to really hear how sharp, beautiful, and bright this synth really is. So I'm going to walk you guys through on how I make a patch from scratch. I think the most appropriate type of patch that we can make on an Oberheim is obviously the pads. Really kind of shows what the filter does. So what we're going to do over here is initialize the synth, which I've already done, but you just have to press right and manual. So that leaves us with just a sawtooth. Pretty boring, pretty standard at first, but what we're going to end up doing is introducing the second oscillator, which I have to push the button over here. So we can see it's already a saw. That's perfect. But I might want a pulse for this, so we're going to change that. Kind of video gamey vibes. We don't really want that for right now. So what we're going to do is this knob in the middle changes the pulse width. And I kind of want to modulate that over time. So what we're going to do over here is turn on pulse width 1, pulse width 2, bring the Modbus knob down, which is also basically an attenuator. Slower rate. Great. Already sounds a lot better, but the magic really in Oberheims is detuning things. I don't think I've ever heard a synth detune something like this so beautifully. We're just offsetting the phase of one of the oscillators with the first one. In the middle, you really hear that difference. It's gorgeous. But that's already half of the magic. We need to add a pitch warble on this. So as I stated beforehand, in this section over here, this is where the other LFO is that just modulates pitch. In order to access that, you have to press oscillator 1 and 2 over here. You have the depth knob. You already hear the vibrato. That's way too much. I like very slow warbles. Some people make fun of me for that sometimes, but it's automatically nostalgic when I add that. They could already be a sound and we're not even using the filter at all, but it's going to become magical when we do that. So we're going to use the OB-X filter, right? But I'm going to still sweep through them so you guys really hear the differences. 2-pole again, so cuts out 12 decibels instead of 24 like on more conventional synths, such as like a Mini Moog or anything Moog in that case, or the Prophet 5 is another one that has a 4-pole filter, and just almost everything else. This is very different. That's one of the reasons why there's a huge fan base around the Oberheim sound. Sounds great already, but we're going to introduce some resonance. What's special about the resonance on this filter is that it's not compensated. So I can turn this all the way up. I have no reduction in the low end, and this filter barely self-oscillates, so it's not like this gnarly sort of like... You guys know what resonance does. It's like there's no description for it. Sometimes it's really cool, like in the case of the MS-20 and in the 5, you can't use it all the way up all the time on every synth. In this case, you could have it all the way up and it's still very musical. You hear that. No low end reduction. But for my taste, I like having it around here. Turn keyboard tracking off. We can control the amount of this in here for future reference. Let's turn some noise up. We have to go to page 2 in order to access the volume of the noise. That would be page 3 in the page 2 settings, which is going to be noise level. It's at 127 decibels. I don't want that. I want it way lower. Still hear it a little bit, maybe a little too much still. I bring it down like crazy, so 13 is what we're going to use. Now let's bring the envelope amount, or modulation is what they call it on the filter over here. Got a nice envelope on here. A little bit of attack. I don't want too much sustain, but we do want a lot of release. We want this to be kind of dreamy. As you can see, I'm just adjusting things to my taste now because I already have a good concrete overview of how the sound is in my head. Maybe a little more attack. Match the decay with that. So on the X filter, right, which is the SEM filter, on the original modules and on the OB-X6, as you've probably seen, you have the state variable knob, which goes all the way from a low pass to a high pass, and you have the band pass option that you would have to enable. So now, since we're in page 2 and I want to utilize the SEM filter for what it was known for, which is the state variable aspect, as you can see, we don't have a knob here. We would have to go into page 2 to access that. And from here, I could choose the 2-pole low pass, which is automatically what the X was using. But we could go over here for 2-pole high pass. Magic. Or band pass. Or a 2-pole notch. So you hear all those options that we end up having. But we're going to use a low pass in this case. I think it sounds pretty cool, but let's say we wanted to add more movement. So let's stop the modulation on the pulse width. I think it sounds pretty cool with that, but let's see what it sounds like with a sawtooth. A little more harmonically rich. As you can see over here, we have the overlay of reverse saw, and then the standard sawtooth. I want to use a sawtooth affecting the LFO on the filter. So we have to have both of these buttons on, the square and the sample and hold, in order to activate this. That's an OB-8 feature. Let's turn the filter on. And let's have a little bit of volume modulation as well. You already heard this patch that I made. I'm just recreating it. But everything, all of the voices are starting at the same time. I don't want that. So we're going to go back into page 2, go to the filter sections. Keyboard tracking on in this case. LFO trigger point now. Keyboard triggering on. There we go. Now do you hear the magic? Because I press this note, now that's starting at a different rate compared to everything else. Makes it a little more organic. See, I'm already getting carried away. It's a gorgeous sound. But yeah, guys, that is a little overview of it. If you guys want to see more of these patch tutorial videos, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to walk through how I did a lot of things. But yeah, hopefully that allows you to get more out of your instruments. And if anybody is interested, please let me know. Or if you have any questions on how to program this thing, if you already have one, I would love to help in any way that I can. You guys know how to reach me. Roland at ChicagoMusicExchange.com, or give me a call. I'll be more than happy to help out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and please like, comment, and subscribe for more.